Welcome back to the EU LCS Spring Split. Our last week of cross-group play continues tonight with Fnatic versus the Unicorns of Love. And what does this matchup mean? Well, these were once the number 1 and 2 teams, and now that's not the case. We have Fnatic in the middle of the pack. The Unicorns of Love, they're in second place in Group B. They're still holding their own, and they've built themselves up a buffer. They can make some mistakes, but it does seem that the edge is off a bit from the beginning of the split for them.
It does seem that way. Now, the Unicorns of Love as a team, they seem to be showing more weaknesses after we've come in from IEM. I think that as a team, they're still very strong, but from what we've seen against the series from Misfits and what we've seen throughout IEM, Xerxes is an individual where he still seems to be focusing his attention more towards these scaling junglers. And I think that when we look at the draft and we look at the prioritization of the Unicorns of Love, they're still focusing on this mid to late game style. And what we're seeing more of this early game focus, which I think is a window with which Fnatic can look to take advantage of.
Yeah, I just like the way Misfits kind of dismantled the Unicorns. Their early game approach was really fun to see. I see Shocks wants to move on to it.
No, I wanted to move in, but you cut me off, and it was perfect. Nobody would have noticed, but just keep going.
Oh, I see. But he turned to me. He's like, Crepo, go next. So you're the new host now? No, I love the way Misfits kind of fought Unicorns in the early game, because that's where they came out swinging. Unicorns, they're used to a tiny map. But honestly, I'm willing to give them more credit because they earned it. They had some really solid performances, and they definitely improved. Whereas in the past, it was always Fnatic versus kind of the underdogs Unicorns, or close at the worst. Now it's definitely Unicorns who are on like way above Fnatic in terms of ratings.
Yeah, it's completely turned around in terms of stories, and then for Fnatic, they are struggling. And when we talk about meta and meta adaptation and bans and picks for the Unicorns of Love, now that is a big pain point for the side of Fnatic. And Mitch, you know, in the end, there's been a lot of discussion about it. The draft's ain't good.
Yes,
but whose fault is it?
No, for me, like, so there's varying opinions on this. I think what we can see is that the drafts are subpar, and then there's a debate: do coaches are they responsible? And then the counter argument always is, but no, the players, they chime in. And I think as a coach, you are responsible for the product. It doesn't matter who decides that product or what the process is. In the end, you have the accountability and the responsibility to produce a good draft. That's why you're on that stage at that point. If you can't do it, put in an analyst in that position. Yes, your players may give you 90% of the info, but if they give you really bad info, it's your job to filter that. And I think that's where it's gone wrong for Fnatic multiple times in the past, and they really need to fix that, because we could see last week how a horrible draft, which really losing lanes into a worse jungler, just loses you the game, no matter how good you are at the game.
But I think they've recognized this. And I think coming into this week, they have a lot of windows of opportunity, because what we've seen from Broxah for a number of weeks is his fantastic Lee Sin play. We've seen that individually, Fnatic are strong.
I am interested to know, and how do you think they've recognized this without seeing a new draft?
Well, I mean, that's very true, right? But I think that...
I think everybody's recognized this.
Right? Yeah. Like, I think that it was a very public statement, especially Jankos. I think very outwardly
What you mean is they should have recognized it, because we were all tweeting at them.
But I am confident that Fnatic have recognized
How? How are you confident? Everybody's been meaning about
in Fnatic. I think I'm still a believer that they can rectify this issue, and I think that coming into this series, drafting is...
I don't think with their history, this split, they've shown anything to say that they can, right? They should, right?
They can obviously improve at one point, because it doesn't get much worse than last week's draft. The problem is already that it's gotten to this point, but we'll have to see. Maybe this.
Hey, it can come on. We got to give them the benefit of the doubt, and we do know that Fnatic has a long storied history, so they should be able to do something here. We talked a lot about this, so I'm just going to ask you guys for quick predictions and breakdowns very quickly.
I'm going to go with a 2-1 to the Unicorns.
Because?
Because I think that they are the stronger team right now, and I think they will punish on an individual skill level, I think Unicorns are stronger than Fnatic.
All right.
Barring a major shift in draft and playstyle, I will follow my esteemed colleague right here and go for 2-1 Unicorns.
Fantastic. Well, we will see if Fnatic makes any moves in their picks and bans for Game 1 against the Unicorns of Love. Let's send it over to our casters.
Thank you very much, Sharks. Welcome to the Cast Today Square. Deficio and I are excited to bring you this best of 3. Let's jump straight into it, starting with the rosters. On the blue side of the Rift, Fnatic, they won the coin toss. They picked side selection on games 1 and 3. They picked blue side. It's Soaz in the top lane. And what's that coming over the hill? Is that a Broxah? Is that a Broxah in the jungle? Caps in the mid lane, Reckless the ADC, Jez's support, and their coach, Nico the Pico.
And finally, I can talk as well, because today, Fnatic are facing Unicorns of Love on the red side. And we're ready to go through the lineup, aren't we? With good old Visitachi, my man up in the top lane, Xerxes in the jungle, Exile is still the mid laner, Samux the AD carry, Hylissang support, and good old Sheepy behind the guys. Are we happy right now with what we've seen from these two teams, Trevor?
That is such a complex question.
It is.
I can't answer it shortly, and I think we're going to talk about the state of both of these teams over the course of this best of 3. But as the players are in the lobby and just about ready to jump into picks and bans, let's zero in on that side of the story for now, because it has been very heavily touted. Because we know Fnatic have bad drafts and Unicorns have fantastically weird drafts, right? They run these unique picks all the time. That's what I'm led to believe, Deficio.
Yeah, not all the time. No, the first part was true about Fnatic's drafting, but the second part about Unicorns always playing unique is not really true anymore. Like, they have a lot of very standard picks, a lot of very standard comps, but one thing they do emphasize, which is very cool, is how champions interact with each other. They like to combo different things. Like, if you play a Caitlyn, you need some sort of CC that can allow her to chain people into a trap, and then boom, suddenly she's more useful in the mid game. And things like that, you know, are what Unicorns is all about, and that's really fun to look at.
Yeah, we'll see what Unicorns decide to play. Last week, Xerxes pulled out that Graves again after a long hiatus playing that champion. And because we do tend to see quite a lot of the same priorities in picks and bans, Camille, Malzahar, Lisa, and LeBlanc, we actually wanted to look at some of those drafts that these two teams have used in recent weeks. And of course, this is the most talked about team composition in European LCS right now.
There was already a lot of criticism when it came down to Fnatic's drafting, but this one last week, game 1 against H2K, were kind of... It was when people had enough. It was like, this is just too terrible, because they had losing lanes across the board and a Kha'Zix who couldn't do anything. You know, Syndra would push in the Jace, Malco would get pushed in by Nautilus, bot lane with the Braum. They lost every lane, and they lost this game so fast. They were like, not able to do a damn thing.
Yep.
And then you have to criticize the draft. This is obviously from Unicorns of Love side, where we can see it's not that unique. Like, these are standard meta picks, except for maybe like a Trundle top lane, but he's still fairly common.
Yeah, exactly. So, and of course, this graphic you're seeing at the bottom of the screen is just to give a little bit more context. Unicorns playing the meta picks, playing the more standard, and we need to see if they can continue to up their game, because UOL peaked very early in the splits, and then they lost a bunch, and now they need to climb back up.
We're just trying to kill the storyline that they only play cheesy stuff or unique picks. They have very standard things they bring to the table, and as a team, as you said, they peaked very early. I want to see them bounce back. I think they're still a better team than Fnatic on paper, but you still got to show it in the BO3, because Fnatic, they're hungry. Jessis was tweeting earlier how he felt like practice was going the right way now for them. They finally really figured out what to do as a team. So let's see if it works on stage.
Well, we're going to find out. We have talked a lot about the pick and ban theory for these two teams. Let's jump through what we've missed. No huge surprises. Varus first pick, the Jhin reply. Rengar open for Xerxes. Over the Graves, for example. Rise for Exile as well.
I mean, leaving Varus open is a bit of a surprise. He's really considered the S-tier 80 carry right now, but you can trade him for other things. That's what Unicorns did here. Still think it's a bit risky because he's so strong. Mid lane bans because they have the Rise pick, trying to set up Exile for success. Caps is the kind of player, though, who has a massive champion pool. He's very confident in a lot of different matchups, so he's very hard to ban out. And that's why these bans, you know, while they're fine from the Unicorns, they might end up, you know, not being too useful if Caps still feel like he has 3 or 4 strong picks left to play.
All right, Caps is another guy we will talk more about as this series plays out, because he's been an interesting player. Some explosive games, some disappointing games. And now it's time for Fnatic to start rallying as a team. It's week 7. They're running out of opportunities to climb up the table and get as high a seed as possible getting into playoffs.
I think with this Zyra pick here, Unicorns are really building towards like this very strong 2v2 bottom lane, and then probably something like, you know, a very standard tank up top lane against Nautilus. Chachi is the kind of guy, though, who can play split push. Like, we've seen different picks like Trundle and Gnar from him. But I still think when you have this strong of a bot lane here, you have already a winning lane. You can just pick a normal tank and have a very strong team fighting comp.
Right, team fighting comp for UOL. Go figure. The one thing they've done exceptionally well all split long. The Karma locked in for Jesus. This will be the 5th time he's run that champion. His most played. Currently 2-2 on the split. He'll be comboing the Varus. There's a lot of pokes and frustration to deal with. Just a reminder really quick, as Victor's locked in for Caps, Orianna is disabled due to that bug from yesterday. It is not going to be available at all in the European LCS, and it's just going to be a top lane pick for Chachi, the Trundle. So nothing really surprising here? Maybe just that Varus first pick you've already mentioned.
Yeah, leaving that one open. Very standard comp from Fnatic. Much better draft from Fnatic, we have to highlight. If we can criticize them, we can also praise them. And this is just a very like simple comp. Like it's team fight based. It's a ton of wave clear. Like your jungler adds wave clear, your support adds wave clear as well to your mid lane and AD carry. So it's a Fnatic comp that's going to be hard to kind of break through. It's going to be hard to kind of snowball on them simply because they have so many ways of stalling out the game, getting to the late game, and then they run with this tank and the shields from Akama. So very, very good. On the other side, from Unicorns, we're going into split push. It's not the traditional pure team fight. Trundle, split push, Rise, split push, and then Rengar hovering around one of these side lanes, creating that one pick that really opens up the game for the Unicorns of Love. So not the same kind of comps, very different win conditions. Last time we saw Unicorns play split push champions, they didn't really get the split push part and just kind of walked mid and said, let's fight with these champions, and it didn't work.
Hey, Unicorns are very well versed at fighting, right? So it's a difficult mindset to break out of.
But like Trundle in a team fight just kind of running at people, it's just like, it's not very useful.
Well, we're going to find out how good Fnatic can be in team fighting because the champions, they're locked in. Players are loading onto the Rift. It's time to get into game one between Fnatic and the Unicorns of Love.
Betsy gets stopped up, Scout of the weekend. Xerxes flashing auto. Oh boy! Xerxes.
And it's game one between Fnatic and the Unicorns of Love. Let's see how these two teams bounce back. In the mid-split, Unicorns were undoubtedly the second best team in Europe for a little while, and now those question marks have grown more and more over the last 3 weeks, as H2K and Misfits have kind of now overtaken them somewhat in perception, and Fnatic, they've not even been in discussion.
No, not at a single point in this split, actually. They have some Fnatic fans. It's actually funny, we got the Fnatic fans on one side, Unicorns of Love fans on the other side. No one is a fan of the casters, though, sadly.
They are indeed. They were fans yesterday, Deficio, and it's about the teams today.
That's true.
So let's keep ourselves on the focus. I want to look at Caps and Exile, by the way, because Caps has got a slightly more safe style of mid laner in this Victor. Wave clear, scaling, not the hugest of outplay potential, whereas Exile on that Rise, he does. The reason I talk about that, in terms of both of these mid laners, Caps is actually first in the league for securing solo kills. He's managed to pick up 12 of those, whereas Exile, on the other hand, he's secured 11, so it's number 1 and number 2 in the league.
And I think we looked at this and we were like, man, this is going to be explosive around the mid lane because both of them get so many solo kills but also die quite often in these 1v1 situations. If one of them gets the advantage, they're not going to sit back and not do anything with it. They're going to try and really push it to the limit. And sometimes they push a little bit too far, but that's what creates like exciting 1v1s. Obviously, yes, as you highlighted, Victor is not the biggest like, hey, I'm going to just get super fed and then outplay everyone. But a strong Victor performance can win you team fights basically on its own. So there's enough here for Caps to really have a lot of impact in this game. He will have to accept that his skirmish potential against the Rise Rengar combo is not as strong, not as insane early on, but he's going to offer some consistency, he's going to offer wave clear, and then of course his scaling on this Victor is fantastic.
Hey, consistency, there's a word we've not said with Fnatic this split.
And Caps and consistency don't really fit together either. You know, Caps is kind of like, I'm either 10-0 or 0-10, also in the laning phase, which has been a traditional rookie split. In many ways, honestly. Like, he's a good player. That's why he can get the 10-0s. But he's also a rookie who has a team that's been struggling. That's why he can get the 0-10s.
Talking about a team that's been struggling and Caps being the rookie, you know, until Broxah, you know, Soaz, Reckless, Jezzes, these are all very seasoned, very veteran players. And at the beginning of the split, along with Amazing, Fnatic, maybe the expectation should have been to try find ways to enable Caps, to bring out his skills and stabilize that performance. And truthfully, we've just not seen them utilize this young talent.
It's just been the Fnatic story. Lacking like a clear play style or identity. It's been a lot of like, maybe we should play around bot lane. Okay, we tried that. Okay, next game, let's play around top lane. And now we're going to try to play around mid lane. And it was never like fairly consistent in the way they did it. I do think, however, whenever they play tanks top, that's when we start seeing a better Fnatic. Soaz doesn't need a lot of resources. He can be impactful in team fights. It's always been where he kind of shined a lot. Like, while Soaz has always been known for his, you know, crazy split push adventures, as a team fighter, it's actually where he's been doing the best over, you know, multiple years. So him on a tank is really good. Him on a ward is not very strong.
Nope, not at all. And Brock's obviously going to be chilling, hanging out. Vizichachi's going to be farming up safely. Very cheeky interaction there between the Pillar of Ice and the dredge line. Chachi's even going to interrupt the back just to stall even more time. You know, it's these incremental plays and just get into Brox's head a little.
I think it's fun, though, to see a game where the lanes are very even early. Like, a lot of power, and actually a lot of them, like bot lane, the Karma Zyra matchup, Jhin Varus, the two best AD carries as well, facing off against each other. Top lane, Nautilus always has a good early game, but Trundle will then take over later. Two junglers who wants to farm for level 6. Like, a lot of similarities in that way when it comes to the early laning, and it comes down to player skill who gets the advantage. And right now, Reckless and Jessis are sitting there with a small CS advantage. Could also be from some of the plants they're killing, though.
All right, so we'll have to keep track on the item spikes and the gold differences as the game plays out. Hylissang and Samux, of course, have been pushing very heavily. Xerxes was in the bottom lane. He cleared out that Crud camp from Fnatic, so that's giving him a small advantage temporarily as Caps gets Rune Prison in place. There's support from Broxah coming from the north. And just a reminder, we are playing on patch 7.4, so Ryze's Rune Prison still very strong. Soaz going to use that Q to get to safety, do his best Spider-Man cosplay. And Exile really trading aggressively, wanting to force Caps to play defensive.
It's what we talk about with Ryze, you know, very skirmish focused, wants to constantly take the trades. Victor, he just wants to sit back, shoot with the laser, apply Q with an auto attack. That's how he wants to trade early. Ryze wants to like run you down, basically. He wants to stay near you, keep firing away the overloads. Broxah knows this, so he's around this lane here. There's a control ward in the brush, disabling the ward here. And he comes in.
All right, Flash and Exhaust available. Broxah just alleviating some pressure, right? That's what this feels like to me.
Yeah, but how do you gank for Victor like, not even pre-6, like early on? He doesn't give you any CC.
Smoke screen to hide the gravity field.
And then the other guy would just kind of stand in and be like, you know, I can't see anything, so I'm not moving, right?
I'm just trying to answer the question. This is why I don't answer questions, I ask questions, okay? That's this dynamic.
I do like, though, if that's how you work as a person as well. If I turn off the lights, you just kind of stand still in the middle. Like,
yeah,
I'm not going anywhere.
No, it's not worth the risk. Everyone's afraid of the dark. There's problems in the dark, and things happen. But Unicorns handling themselves well in this early game. Xerxes getting close to 6. No real problems. I mean, there's nothing really to speak of just yet, despite a little bit of shenanigans in multiple lanes.
And it's where you start looking for very small victories. Like, you don't look for that big, oh, okay, here's an ace and a tower, great, game is over. You look for, like, small advantages. Did you force a summoner spell? Do you maybe have, you know, a gank setup where you have some CC, like in this situation here with the Root?
All right, Reckless has flashed already. Jesus flashes immediately after. Xerxes decides to jump back in. Battle Royale's going to buy some time, but there's no summoners on Fnatic bot lane.
And that's where we get a small victory now for Unicorns of Love. No flashes for Reckless and Jessis. This means Xerxes can return. It also means now you have to respect that Chachi teleported in a few minutes, otherwise you're going to die. So Summoner Spell's advantage for the Unicorns of Love, and now they have to use that. Because when you have these even early games where the laning phase is just kind of matched against each other, one small victory can snowball into something much, much bigger. If this means now that you get 2 kills bot lane against the no flashes, or the no flash champions from Fnatic, well, Fnatic is not going to get anything in return. Nautilus is not randomly just going to kill the Trundle then. So you might get a huge advantage if you are the Unicorns.
All right, so how quickly can they open that window of opportunity?
Well, we need that ulti for Xerxes. Coming up fairly soon from him.
A little while away, about a minute to go until it's available. Control wards should get cleared out here by Xerxes as he jumps onto that one.
And it might actually mean that Fnatic, once they finally get to recall, you can see in the bottom lane they haven't recalled yet, they might just swap to top lane and get out of this laning phase to avoid it. They're actually going for Hilly. Man, Hilly, why are you so far up?
Hylissang has no flash, remember, and first blood picked up by Reckless.
We talk about the small victories leading into something bigger. We talked about it being Unicorns punishing Fnatic's bot lane with no flash, but Hylissang was sitting there.
Again.
No flash.
Hylissang all split long has been on the front line, has been an initiating force for UOL. And maybe overstepping his bounds.
Yeah, and that's the thing, you know, it doesn't look that huge. He's just sitting in a side lane brush in the lane and he dies, but he had lost all vision in the river. His AD carry was sitting back near the turret. Hylissang is sitting so far up in this brush without any information of the enemy jungler, without a flash. That is a big mistake, and Fnatic instantly walked down and said, you talk about small victories? Yeah, we'll take it. This is a pretty easy first blood.
Yeah, it goes to arguably the most valuable member at this stage of the game as well.
Yep.
Swifty's picked up tier as well as that serrated Dirk for Reckless. So he's going to be able to apply even more pressure.
I like the
to
German
Samux.
there.
A little
the
bit.
Dirk.
Throw it in there. Samux and Hilly now also going to be playing further. But like the problem is it sort of changes the context of that lane. Because now even though Reckless and Jez are flashless, they have an item advantage. There's a sidestone already picked up, boots, etc., you know?
It still means Xerxes can go bot lane, because there still is no flash on these two guys. Karma, while she can offer shielding, she can't like disengage properly against CZ from Zyra, CZ from the Rise, sorry, from the Rengar. So I want to see Xerxes return to bot lane, but good warding here from Fnatic. Very deep inside the jungle, spots him very early on, so he can't gank from this area here. If you look at the bottom side of the map with his vision toggle, it's all blue. It's just Fnatic controlling it. So Xerxes clearly wants to gank bot lane, as we talk about.
Yeah.
But this is just good vision from Jessis and the rest of Fnatic.
Okay, looking at teleports available for both Soaz and Chachi as we catch a quick glimpse of the trade up top. Subjugate, not going to get used yet by Visit Chachi. As I say that, it does. Pillar of Ice, this time around, will be a gigantic traffic cone. Defensive flash from Soaz, depth charge into the air. Chachi takes a couple of tower shots, but they trade. Ultimates and flashes galore.
Everyone using flashes early on. No kill for Chachi. Broxer might just jump over the wall. See if he can find something. There is no camps to be taken, though. He might just place a few wards, and that is about it. But it's also, again, a small little win. You get a bit more deep vision to find the Rengar.
I mean, great early game vision here from Fnatic. And all of that information with Broxer spotting out Xerxes means Xerxes not ganking bot lane. Reckless and Jezzers, their flashes are just about to come off cooldown. So that early advantage, that early aggressive play from UOL, not only did it not get punished, but because of the aggressive play, Hylissang was punished because of an ensuing mistake. And that's just allowing Fnatic to be in the driver's seat for now.
And just showing a difference between the two bottom lanes right here. Fnatic really respecting what could happen. Hylissang didn't respect that. That's why he died. And that's how it is early on here. It's still not going to change a whole lot in this game. It was just a missed opportunity, more or less.
But isn't it a little bit indicative of the two teams? When we were preparing for this matchup, Fisher, one of the things we were talking about is how Unicorns of Love do not necessarily play around Samux, and Fnatic do somewhat play around Reckless. Now, Fnatic with this, great late game ADC, reliable team fighter in Reckless, he's got first blood, he's got an advantage, and obviously Samux playing this more utility Jhin is behind.
Yeah, to add on to that one, Samux is normally doing well in lane. His CSD at 10 is the highest in the league. But outside of lane, he's actually doing almost nothing compared to other AD carries. And we're talking like team fights here. We're not talking utility-based, just pure team fight damage. He's obviously adding utility. That's what he's giving to the team. He's creating picks with them. But pure damage, no. Reckless does give you that damage. He deals the most on his team, the most of the AD carries. So the fact that Reckless is now winning the early game, both in CS slightly, but has that one kill, should mean that he becomes more useful the further this game goes compared to a Samux. And we got to track that.
Yeah, we will be tracking that. You've been talking a lot about damage in Exile. It really feels like he's playing quite aggressive, pushing forward over and over every time someone's nearby, dishing out those overloads. It feels like he's connected with every single one. And Unicorns, they've set themselves up at least some sort of vision-based play. Red Buff going to get spotted, unfortunately. A little too late and not going to overcommit into Fnatic's jungle.
No, Trev, we are waiting. We're waiting for Exile to be strong enough to play push. We're waiting for Chachi to use this big club of his to spank Soaz a little bit more.
So if Exile's going to be looking to split push, and Vizichachi is going to be looking to split push, and Fnatic don't really have a great answer to the necessary split push, what do these two teams do in the next 10 minutes? I mean, if Fnatic can stop UOL setting up, that's how they can prevent that, right?
Yeah, like one of the ways, obviously, is when you are playing with this Nautilus top lane here, when you get to like kind of Just keep the wave even for as long as possible, and if you ever get to push it out, like past the river, that's when you move, you roam, you leave the lane, just like expected in the last game G2 played. You leave, you go towards the mid lane, enemy jungle, you look for a team fight, you have Varus also, you have the hook from Source to start these fights here. You don't just sit back in the side lane and let Unicorns push.
Right.
Then you will suddenly be under a lot of pressure and you can't do a whole lot. But before that happens, you should have openings to teleport, to roam from these side lanes in to force these fights. Play around Dragon, play around Baron later. There are multiple objectives to play around for Fnatic. For now though, both teams are fine, just sitting and farming.
Oh, unless a two-man route into a two-man knockup, the curtain is called. The damage will drop Reckless and Jez is low, and all it costs is a heal, and that chain of corruption preventing any further follow-up.
Well, it does force Fnatic back now, so Unicorns will get some damage on this bot lane tower once the minion rise interrupts.
Oh, Deadly Flourish can interrupt the back gravity field, pulls Exile backwards. One of those overloads missed. The exhaust comes down as well. Caps has already ghosted, flashes away the Q. Exile almost evening the ISO kills.
Caps playing into Exile's favor here. Doesn't want to take these trades normally, but Exile was just sticking around, and Caps did the same, so now no flash. Broxa's bottom lane, to see if he can do anything.
All right, Broxa in place in
Xerxes coming
case
too.
Xerxes wants to come and play.
But now, Ryze can roam because they forced Caps back to base, so he has to return to get the wave in mid. Exile moving down with ulti.
Let's take a look what Exile can do. He's a little
pretty
bit
low.
low
Yeah, he's too
on
low.
HP. This is risky, but
he's
everybody's low. Reckless and Jez, they're split up. Broxa can't help. Jez is down. Unicorns decide to dive. Reckless gets dunked by Samux. 2 kills, and it looks like Tower first blood.
So Fnatic thought Exile was too low to really force this play, but then suddenly realized it's not about Exile. He's just there as a distraction. It's about the rest of the team already being there. Xerxes, who we highlighted, coming down towards the bottom lane, setting up that dive here. First tower, 2 kills for Unicorns. Great setup, and it all starts with Hylissang and Samux hiding in that brush, catching the Fnatic bottom lane, and then suddenly you can push in and set up this play.
Great turnaround for Unicorns of Love. Fnatic will get their first tower of the game. That still puts them in a goal deficit, and Broxa gonna get jumped on. Another big lead from Xerxes. Savagery used to chase forward in the bush. Jumps out. 1-on-1. Broxa goes down. Flash over the gravity field with the help of a curtain call. Caps should get dropped. Samux with another.
All right, we had nothing happening in this game just before, but Unicorns of Love, we get into the mid game and it all starts bot lane, then boom, another kill in the mid lane, and now they catch Caps, who, remember, took that trade against Exile, were forced to flash away, and therefore died right after. So Unicorns really taking a lot of these small wins early, and then they just snowballed them into more and more kills. What a huge swing in gold.
And decisive gameplay from Unicorns of Love. Zero hesitation. Obviously, when Broxa walks into your jungle, that's easy, but looking at the setup in this tower dive.
Yeah, clearly they feel like Exile is not ready to actually dive them, otherwise they would just left. They had like ton of time to walk away from this bottom lane. They stayed around, then Exile joins with Xerxes. Chachi even TP'd in just to say hello. Didn't really get to do anything, but Unicorns of Love got the summoner's advantage, got the HP advantage as well, and then used that to now pick up 4 kills, 2 towers, and they're going for the 3rd tower within, what, 2 minutes?
Yeah, exceptional. All outer towers down. It looks like Fnatic might be setting their sights on that Ocean Drake, but it's such a small objective.
Oh yeah, this, like, it's nothing in return to what Unicorns are getting. Like, I don't think I've seen 3 outer turrets drop in this short amount of time. Unicorns of Love using this advantage perfectly. They didn't get the tower quite yet, but Source has to respect that he might get dove by like 4 members of Unicorns.
Yes.
And he backs away.
All right, so this is going to be able to make it back to his inner turret. Flash is available, as is his teleport very shortly. The tower's still not fallen, so this has bought enough time for at least Reckless and Jesus to take down bottom. Broxa survives for a few seconds, decides to go back in, trying to help out Caps. The Chaos Storm and the Siphon Power, that gets a kill. Rune Prison into Overload. Now Soez is joining the fight. Exile looks to get rooted. There's no flash to escape. It's a little messy, but it's Reckless that shuts him down.
So in the end here, 2 for 2, and now Fnatic pushing mid lane. Every single time someone gets a kill in this game, they seem to be able to get something more. Unicorns taking Rift Herald. That's great for Chachi. Can be huge in the game. And they're okay trading. mid tower for it. Could have just stopped doing it and walked to mid lane to prevent this from happening, but they traded for it. Hylissang!
All right, flash from Hilly gets the flash from Reckless. That could prove vital in the next few minutes. Let's see where Reckless decides to plant himself. There's no mid tower to just stand and wave clear in front of, so this will complicate Fnatic's decision making.
Yeah, because now, Trevor, we have very long lanes. Let's take a look at this skirmish. Exile with the aggressive ulti. Get Brox at first. It's a 2v2. We said this before in the game, how the Rengar Rise 2v2 skirmish is stronger. And they use it to get 2 kills. Obviously, because Fnatic was on the bottom side. They would join first, pick up the kills. And I think Unicorns are happy with this, because they get Rift Herald buff for Vizicachi. And the reason I highlight that is because he's obviously a pure split pusher on this trundle, or he should be. And now with these really long lanes, because there's so many outer turrets down pre-20 minutes, it's perfect for a 1-3-1 comp, because now Trundle can chase Nautilus down a long lane. Ryze can chase Victor down a long lane, and that's exactly what those two champions want to do.
And if anybody's ever running away and not quick enough to get away, Xerxes will catch them and kill them.
Yes.
Xerxes on this Rengar, by the way, he's played twice this split. Currently 2-0. League-wide, Rengar is 9-4. But this has been a pretty good Rengar performance. You know, he hasn't necessarily needed to do a huge amount with his ultimate, but he's been with the team, responded effectively, and is setting plays up as a unit.
Fnatic got caught a little bit with the pants down. Felt like they were like, oh, this is a slow early game, we got a scaling comp, this is nice, this is comfy, exactly what we're looking for, and then bam, bam, bam. 3 kills happen for Unicorns, and suddenly the game is wide open, and now Fnatic playing into this very high-tempo Unicorns of Love team. They haven't been able to match it just yet. That's why they're down 3k gold.
3k gold, and a tower, and 3 kills. And looking at some of the item differences as well, Rod of Ages as well as Abyssal Scepter for Exile, Eye Edge and Ghostblade for Samus at 20 minutes. He's going to hit like a truck.
Yeah, people might wonder why no Edge of Night. Well, the Infinity Edge is a better build for killing tanks, and he has this big, fat Nautilus in his face, so he needs to be able to take him down. That's where the Eye Edge comes in. Generally also just great for burst. When you know you're going to get that guaranteed crit, don't need to amplify it too much, but he most likely will get like a rapid fire cannon as well in this build, just to get even more crits from this Jhin here. And we mentioned the long lanes, champions who liked it. Jhin is another champion who loves the long lane because he's ulti is such a long range, he's W. So when you have no tower to hide at, every time you walk out near the river, you're kind of afraid. You're like, oh, is he gonna like snare me? He's gonna ult me from here? Am I caught out? And then suddenly you get jumped.
I mean, it's the, Chain of Corruption just short. Xerxes and Exile able to back away quickly enough. And you know, the Captain Obvious statement, this is the early game that Unicorns were looking for. They've opened up the map. They've got their Ryze in a good position. Vizicachi's out farming Soaz by a fair margin. He's starting to build some tanky stats as well. All right, now Unicorns, now we start judging you on how well you play the split push. Do you set up a 1-3-1, or does everyone just hang out in the mid lane and hope Fnatic pushes?
Yeah, I don't want to see them just hang out in the mid lane. I actually want to see Chachi stay in this side lane for as long as possible. He has a lot of, pressure on the Nautilus. His tower damage is just fine. He can buff his own attack speed when he's near that turret. Just basically chunk it down fairly quickly, but I think if you're Chachi, he's kind of been like, I need a second or third item before I feel confident sitting on the tower with Source next to me, taking it down. But he's strong enough to just be a pure split pusher. He doesn't need to join mid lane. Because all Fnatic wants to do is 5-on-5. And if Fnatic is never allowed to 5-on-5, their composition doesn't work.
Yeah.
So we don't want to see Chachi opt into this. Stick to your side lane. Put full pressure. And then get these tier 2 towers down.
And Hylissang do not get caught out.
Right.
Now, when I think about a lot of the Unicorns games at this stage, the 20 to 30 minute mark, when they do kind of devolve a little bit to that ARAM style, single lane focus, Hilly, he wants to make plays. He's trying to set something up. It's not like an Xpeke where he gets caught out of position without maybe a goal, but Hilly's trying to make a play, trying to get a route, trying to set up CC. He's done it on a number of champions over the last few weeks.
I think it's important to...
front line again. Of course. Support's coming up, though.
It's important to highlight, though, that Hylissang in this comp is actually not that important. Like, he doesn't need to make a play because you are winning by pushing 3 lanes at once. It's not about him flash rooting someone and then starting a team fight. It might happen in the game, but that's not how they're supposed to win. So it should be the kind of game where he can sit back and not risk it too much. This is the kind of trades we're going to see where Soaz can't do a damn thing.
No, and look at the tower. Soaz is going to try fall back. And Chachi can just continue to pressure him over and over. Unicorns continuing to extend that gold lead, continuing to push their advantage even further forward.
Yeah, and because Chachi is pushing so far forward, because he's sticking to that side lane, as we talked about, it opens up for the river. That means dragon, that means Baron. Like, this is a free dragon for Unicorns of Love. There's nothing Fnatic can really do to stop it. That is gonna be a Baron in 5 minutes. And then Fnatic has to blindly face check the Baron because every lane is getting pushed down by this Unicorns comp.
And Deficio, it's those types of plays that explain the average gold lead for Unicorns, jumping from plus 500 gold at 20 minutes to around plus 2,500 gold at 25 minutes. You know, it spikes, it jumps very, very quickly.
And also, like, you start taking away camps. Like, notice how Chachi is farming the bot lane. He's also farming the bot side jungle at the same time. So he's literally taking stuff away from Broxah, taking stuff away from Soaz, his tower very soon. And there's no one who's stopping him. The only way you can stop him is Fnatic sends 2 or 3 guys to kill him. But then Unicorns should be able to get a tower or a Baron.
All right, tower or Baron for Unicorns of Love. That's where they're going to set their sights on. Fnatic just need to combat vision. Need to try and clear out some of the wards that Unicorns have pushed into the jungle. And let's go back to these team fight styles, right? Fnatic have worked a lot around Reckless in the past.
And good little sneak into the Baron pit. This is not spotted by Fnatic. 2 members from Unicorns are sitting in mid lane to kind of bait the whole situation, saying, no, we're totally not doing Baron. You know, we're right in front of you. And now when Baron is low enough, they run back in to secure it. Great play.
Such great play. 0 risk, and there's even a realm warp to safety.
Oh, too early.
Samix had to finish that one off. Sheepy is as surprised as we are.
Chachi, you're supposed to run now because you just took Baron.
Okay, flashes away from the chain of corruption. Tagged by a piercing arrow, the rest of Fnatic is coming down. There's a Chachi gonna buy some time. It looks like Caps will be able to run him down. Where's the CC? Not gonna connect. There's a Chachi's gonna go low. Teleport's interrupted!
Joke's on you, Chachi. We nerfed teleport. Takes longer to channel. That was it was a 10 out of 10. From the Unicorns of Love, became a 9 out of 10 because Chachi stayed for a little bit too long. He wanted that tower, but it's fine. What a great setup from them.
Does this make it a 9.5 if Samix can take the tower?
It's a 9.5 now.
And look at the clean rotation top. Wave has already been pushed in by Xerxes.
9.8?
9.8. Okay, so Chachi, you've cost a 0.2 on behalf of that Baron play.
On behalf of the perfect play.
There we go.
It was so close to the perfect play. It could have been Chachi just backed away. He wouldn't have died. Unicorns, they got the whole thing. But now they got a mid tower anyway, so very, very close. Like, just honestly, great setup. This is a Unicorns of Love who's not getting caught out. Look at good guy Hillistan. Staying back, but like, yeah, boys, I'm not needed here. I'm not doing anything. And they just bait the Baron setup. They had full vision of everything because of the split push. And it all starts from them getting the 4 kills into 3 towers, and then using 1-3-1. Love it.
And this is such an important game for the Unicorns of Love. They are currently tied with H2K in series win-loss at 6-2 in Group B. And of course, Unicorns, they're playing Fnatic today. H2K are playing Misfits, and arguably much stronger opponents tomorrow. And depending on those results, we can see who could hold control of first in the league right now.
Trying to fight in mid.
We'll talk about that a little bit later. Samix gets tagged by the piercing arrow, Soaz no flash available, and 1-3-1. Unicorns successfully repel Fnatic's attack, get 2 towers, and are making great use of this Baron buff.
And now I know a lot of people are gonna be like, oh, Fnatic drafting defensively, it's passive, you can't force anything in this game. It was looking just fine for them. Yes, that is the risk when you run this comp. There's a risk to every comp. The risk for this one is if you start falling behind, you're purely team fighting, you're purely wave clear. You can't really force plays very easily, and then it can look really bad.
Yep.
But it was dead even at first. It was looking just fine for them, and then they actually got outplayed. The bot lane 2v2, that was an outplay by Unicorns. Exile's 1v1 against Caps, that was an outplay by Exile. So those plays set Unicorns up for success, not Fnatic's comp being bad or anything.
So Samix and Hilly in a 2v2, the engager, the ulti, allowed Xerxes and Exile to outplay Broxah and Caps and make plays individually, just performing a little better, but then as a team, they're utilizing those advantages.
Exactly.
Right, that's the next step that Unicorns are putting on the Rift, and so far the 1-3-1, I mean, 9 out of 10? What do you think of that?
Oh yeah, it's great so far. They've been doing everything correct. Like, that's the thing. They're getting all the outer turrets. They've been getting Baron. Now's the point where I can slow down a little bit, because breaking into the base is very hard. It's very easy to kind of move between the 2 or 3 inhibs here. A very short path you have to defend if you're a Fnatic. So that's when you wait for another Baron. You wait for, you know, 1 or 2 Drakes more. In this case, only 1. And then you use that second Baron you pick up to try and break into the base.
If there is one advantage for the Fnatic squad, now that Baron buff has worn off, Graves, Victor, Karma, Varus,
farm 3 lanes,
now
baby.
you can stall. Now you can stall, but the problem is there is now no more room for error at all, right? Fnatic cannot give up another Baron. Fnatic cannot give up another tower, because that just gives Unicorns another like lever to pull and to squeeze to look towards the Nexus.
And luckily for Fnatic, they got plenty of time. Like, they have to break the 75 minutes of yesterday for us to kind of be unhappy with it.
Oh, yes.
For now, they can just wave clear 3 lanes for about, you know, what should we say, another 40 minutes. We already practiced. We're ready. We've seen it all.
We've got this. The benchmark is set. Okay.
We can turn on the fun, the banter at any point.
Listen, Fnatic owns the longest game in EU LCS history record.
Also
with
played the most
Origin.
games.
80 minutes and 28 seconds, if I recall correctly. That's what we said yesterday. So come on, break that record. It's could be one of those weekends. I don't think Unicorns are going to give them that opportunity, though. You can see Unicorns gathering around this Drake.
I kind of also feel like Unicorns is slightly better at closing out the game than Origin and Rocket. So kind of goes in Unicorns' favor.
I think that's pretty fair. I think that's a fair statement. You know?
I'm only trying to make safe statements right now.
Okay.
I want to make sure everyone sitting at home is kind of nodding, being like, yeah, I agree. I definitely agree.
That's one of them.
I think Unicorns is ahead in this game as well.
Especially with that Mountain Drake.
Especially a Mountain Drake is great. You know,
What I do like about that, though, is Elder Drake's going to be at about 36.5 minutes, around there. So it's a slightly earlier Elder Drake that could be for the taking. And with Unicorns having such absolute map control, Fnatic need to push through so much darkness in their own jungle, in their own half of the map.
Fnatic needs to farm long enough to make gold irrelevant in the game.
Yeah.
So it's never fun to be in that situation where you're like, yeah, okay, we have to wait another 2 or 3 items because they won't get any map control. They're going to rely on Unicorns kind of really butchering like a fight near a Baron or something. So this is typically where you look at a game and say, this should now be so heavily in one team's favor that they should win the game, no matter what. But in sports, in esports, we do see mistakes. We do see like what we call throws, obviously, and that's where stuff can still go wrong. But Unicorns in full control.
Okay, Unicorns in full control, just off screen. Reckless flash engaged with Chain of Corruption. Samek's response flash got him to safety. It ends up being a kind of even trade, right? Both ADCs are flashless, but it doesn't result in a gain. It still means Fnatic are 8,000 gold behind, and Reckless maybe feeling the pressure, maybe.
I mean, that's the thing, you know.
Like he needs to make something happen.
Fnatic right now, they're hoping for like a Patriots versus Falcons moment. They're hoping for a Barcelona versus PSG moment. There's an NBA reference here somewhere as well, but I don't really follow NBA, so I kind of forgot that one. But they're hoping for that big upset, big surprise, big comeback. Xerxes, though, he's looking for some kills.
He is at the moment, currently invisible for now. Thrill of the Hunt, just spotting out where possible, has the potential to flank and turn around. Soaz gets prisoned in place. That bomb's gonna at least knock up Senkax. Here comes the Realm Warp, gonna deliver Unicorns of Love into Fnatic's hands. Defensive flashes and the collateral to buy some time. Brox is getting tagged by the call of the curtain, and Caps is running for his life. Fnatic lose 2.
There we go, Unicorns of Love finally gets the kills. Now they also get the inhibitor. The inhibitor in the mid lane. The brain stopped working for a second again.
Well, get the tower, get the inhib. They've got supers, a 10,000 gold lead, and just another fantastic decision. Decisive from Unicorns of Love.
Yeah, the patience as well. It's like Xerxes sitting at the flank, you know, waiting.
You have to stop for a second. Patience. Unicorns of Love. I don't think that's a phrase we've used a huge amount.
Well, it's been a great game from them, so maybe it's time we start using it more,
Hey,
because they're
I agree.
showing it here. Like, we have seen high tempo earlier. Now we see Page. Look at Xerxes on the side, waiting. Then boom, as soon as Source gets caught, then he jumps in, and he's just being annoying. He's not trying to kill anyone. He's just being so annoying in the back line. And then the rest of the team, with a good Realm Warp, can chase Fnatic down, get the mid lane inhib, and now the base is open, Trev, and that is a key thing for them against so much wave clear.
So tough. Like, Cap's actually almost, you know, sort of two-shot Hylissang. And the reason I mention that, if the game state were different and Fnatic were on a more even footing, this 3-item Victor could have been so much more terrifying into 4 fairly squishy champions.
But it's not, because
And that's the
Unicorns of
problem.
Love are playing some very good League of Legends, using their comp.
Well, Soaz
Very
uses
well.
his ultimate, but there's not really a lot of support.
Is that a perk?
Reckless was using... Sorry, Reckless was trying to defend the super minions in the mid lane. And Xerxes still chilling with that Thrill of the Hunt.
I mean, he's applying the debuff, so Reckless is kind of like, okay, he's probably coming from top side. You have to respect it a little bit. They're trying to now get another inhib down, because mid lane is not enough. You need a
not at
second one,
all.
and you have a Trundle top lane. Taking down that tower very easily. And it's one of those games, you know, where the Trundle, he's 1-1-2, so if you just see the score after the game, you don't really feel like he was impactful. But in the game itself, he's just been split pushing 24/7 and applying so much pressure.
Like this, because it's Chachi wailing away on that inhibitor. Mid lane, obviously down, has been for a little while. Soaz is going to be the target for now. Broxa rooted in place by the Flourish, while the rest of Fnatic are trying to defend the bottom lane turret. One of 3 remaining. Unicorns playing this one by the numbers, trying to get all of the inhibs available to them, and Vizichachi continues to apply the pressure.
With his army of minions, Soaz is trying to catch someone. Playing Nautilus when behind is really a sucky feeling, though, because no matter what you do, you're just kind of diving in and you don't do a whole lot, you just die.
Yeah, definitely. Redemption's going to be used by Fnatic. The 3rd and final inhibitor drops. Unicorns of Love set their sights onto the Nexus, and they are just ushering these Baron empowered super minions onto the turrets. This could be where Fnatic can 5v5. They've got Exile. They blow him up. Stranglethorns buys a little bit of time, allows Unicorns to escape. Hylissang almost gets chunked down as that death ray. So close. Fnatic, but there's a flash! Reckless! Piercing arrow gets a kill. The problem is...
They lost all inhibs.
They've got no inhibs. They've got double super minions for at least another 30 to 40 seconds.
Too little, too late, Trevor. Unicorns got everything they wanted, because now they can walk down, take an Elder Drake, double super minions coming in every single lane. Yes, Fnatic can farm more lanes and more minions, but that is really the only positive thing right here for them. Unicorns of Love been in full control. Basically been sitting on the throne for the entire game.
And that's what Unicorns are playing for. If they pick up a series win here, they will temporarily look to hold first place in Group B until we see what happens with Misfits and HTK tomorrow. It's the last week of cross-group play. This is currently number 1, number 2 from Group B taking on number 3, the clear 3rd best team in Group A, Fnatic.
And it's still fun to kind of compare the two groups, like which group is the strongest. We see the fight though from before. Just root onto Exile, and then he instantly gets bursted down. Some chain CC, and decent follow-up here, getting Hylissang down as well with the last one. Reckless. And Flash. Whoop. Sucks to be support sometimes. Luckily though, I think Hylissang is actually okay with that, because the enemy AD carry just traded Flash for a kill that, you know, didn't really do a whole lot, so...
And look at this, mid inhibitor just about to respawn. You can tell by the animation on your screen, and of course, Unicorns already poised to take it down. Broxa, collateral damage to buy some time, and Exile's caught out once again. You can't make those mistakes at this stage, Exile. Piercing arrow flies across the Unicorn squad. It's going to drop them low. Soaz is as well. No GA, but the inhibitor goes down. Double supers refreshed. For now, it's a double-double That's what Unicorns are looking for.
Oh, Soa's teleporting behind. This might be the comeback.
No ultimate for Soaz. Where's the support? Soaz finds himself caught between a kitty cat and the rest of the Unicorns. Piercing arrow chunks down Samux. Fnatic can't engage. Soaz kind of left for dead. The shield buys some time. GA is popped from Vizichachi and Gravity Field. Means that he's going to get caught in place, but not going to get killed.
Have to remember, Fnatic are fighting against Elder Drake, so even with the kill on Exile, they can't just go and take down more members. Teleport used. Fnatic holding the base.
Officio.
Hey, we gave them another 40 minutes. That's 20 now. This is the inhib. We're going down. Let's see Exile. Caught, snared, knocked up, simply just chain CC'd. Nice hook by Soaz, and Exile, second time he's getting caught. So we are actually just seeing Fnatic get, you know, triple farm right now, or double farm at least, with all the super minions. They will lose every other objective.
I mean, right now, Unicorns, it's the final hurdle that they need to get past. But Fnatic and Unicorns of Love, two teams in the EU LCS over the last 2 years that have been somewhat synonymous with crazy endings to games.
And we've been here quite a few times.
And not just the first time they met in the finals in spring 2015. Regular season in summer the following year. Regular season last year.
Again, if people don't remember, we had the moment where Fnatic almost killed the Nexus twice, literally down to one hit. And then Unicorns managed to turn it around and actually beat Fnatic. It's one of those series where we were just screaming for
Officio.
Ever.
That was Fnatic UOL, who have a history between themselves. 2-3 weeks ago, Unicorns couldn't finish the Nexus against G2 and failed at that final hit, and that allowed G2 to get the 2-0. Now, I only bring that up because if there was something to bring on post-traumatic stress disorder, losing 2 team fights in Fnatic's base might just trigger those feelings.
Or it might make the 4 members on Unicorns kind of yell at Exile and be like, dude, come on, just don't get hooked, and we're gonna win this. We had Elder Drake, calm down, we're fine, we get a Baron now. Like, it is effectively Unicorns of Love owning 95% of the map. It's been the same way for like, what, 15, 20 minutes almost?
Oh yes, oh yes.
Only thing Fnatic actually owns is the 2 Nexus turrets and the Nexus itself.
And the only real way for Fnatic to sort of bounce back here is UOL have to all overcommit and make mistakes. You know, you've seen Unicorns lose Exile a couple times, and despite being forced away, it hasn't meant anything for Fnatic. They've been locked inside their base.
Ooh, a little trap.
There's no bush to hide behind this time. No one's playing Ivern. Instead, they're just going to hang behind the wall. Knee-high cover. It's a console trick. Everyone's safe behind knee-high cover. Unfortunately for Soaz, he gets tagged through it. Inhibitor on the bottom lane. Looks like it's going to go down to Vizichachi. He's got no GA available of a fight where to break out. Soaz reckons he's got a chance here as Exile and Hilly get forced away. Thing's used those Strangle Thorns, but now it's starting to get messy. Soaz's GA has popped. Xerxes and Vizichachi come up. Fnatic want to defend Soaz's life. He's low, 1,000 HP. Exile drops him down. Soaz is out. 5 versus 4. Vizichachi's looking to re-engage as Caps throws down the Siphon Power on the Death Ray. Another inhib is the target.
Yeah, and rest of Unicorns of Love taking a lot of damage here. Poke landing from Reckless, so Fnatic will have to see 2 inhibs fall. The bottom one, mid one is already down. Top one stays alive. Delays Unicorns of Love again. Delays the Baron again. And that is what happens when you draft like a turtle comp and you get to sit with wave clear. We highlight this in Champ Select. There's wave clear from 4 out of 5 members on Fnatic. Even Karma adds some wave clear at this point, but Varus, Varus, Victor, and Graves, like, unless you can actually get a kill, or let's say 2 kills in this case, using the super minions to actually break down the Nexus is difficult because you just have to respect how fast they can kill the waves.
Unicorns of Love gonna try again. This is round 4.
Fight.
They've lost 2 fights. The previous one, I think you can say they won because Soaz went down and they got the inhibitor.
It's been small fights.
Small fights, of course. But everyone was getting involved. As Chachi's pulled backwards, Chachi can still use the subjugate to buy some time. Gravity Field backwards, not gonna get a chance. Reckless is on a rampage.
Oh man, I was joking earlier, by the way, when I said Fnatic had like another 40 minutes.
Well, Fnatic are not joking, Deficio, because they want to go another 40 minutes. They've not given up yet.
No, that's why we can't just call a game over, even when it's supposed to be. In this case here, with Fnatic's wave clear, Exile getting caught a few times, Source with some good engages, honestly, on this Nautilus. They have just been able to hold and hold and hold.
I was looking at the player cams a moment ago. Stressed faces on the side of Fnatic, and this was the engage from Soaz onto Chachi. Again, great CC layering. I mean, it's easy with this much CC at times,
right?
But they're making it work.
And we get to this point now where, again, this goal difference, it starts to matter less and less. We always talk about it. Right now, it's full build on Reckless, so he doesn't care about being behind 10k gold. Victor, almost sitting on full build, he doesn't care about being behind 10k gold either. And this is because Fnatic have been farming 3 lanes now for, again, such a long time. Unicorns are not getting anything extra on the map.
With an extra minion wave in most of them, thanks to those supers. 3 Guardian Angels on the side of Unicorns of Love. Embrace the revive. Get an extra life. Exile gets caught once, he can come back, he can try again.
At some point, you use the GAs, you get a Baron buff, and then with their triple super minions, in this case will only be obviously in 2 lanes they get the super minions and not the double ones, but they will get some. You honestly just try and rush it to the base and just go for the Nexus turrets. But Fnatic's comp, as we talked about, is so good in team fights that you can't, because like you have to respect late game Victor. You can't just walk by him. So it gets so difficult for them to push all the way in. You start needing like banner of command. One way to kind of stop Caps from pushing in a little bit and put some more threat maybe on the bottom side, and then you're playing on the top side of the base.
I'm looking forward to those banner the commands and ZZ Rots. Fnatic can use them to help defend. I think Reckless being a full build, once he's got enough money to buy and resell and rebuy, we can unveil the EU ZZ Rots that just sometimes appears. But for Unicorns, Elder's in a minute and a half, roughly. Baron's up a little bit after that. So they can also just wait for the big objectives and try use those to finish. The problem is, they didn't use the previous ones effectively. So they need to change their approach, right? Be a little more patient, be a little more controlled.
I mean, one of the things we don't actually see teams do, but might be an option if you simply can't break down the base is, you know, you wait for both buffs to be alive, and then you take one, go to the other one. In this case here, they can do it because they spawn pretty close to each other, but when you have Baron buff, Elder Drake buff, full build, GAs, you should be so strong that you can brute force your way into the base. And if you can push them back to the Nexus turrets, you can burst those towers down fairly quickly.
Yeah.
So in this situation now, Unicorns can get both buffs, which is really, really good for them. They can take the Elder Drake, walk over, take the Baron, and they don't have to delay anything.
The first time in about 12 minutes, Fnatic can see the river.
Oh,
the Scryer's bloom has revealed the river. Soaz is in the river.
It's a whole new world.
It's a whole new world, and what can Fnatic do with it? All right, looking at the minimap, Xerxes could come in from behind Fnatic. Teleport is available for Chachi. He's sitting on it now. Fnatic are looking to force something.
Yeah, it's always scary in new territory here. You don't know what's lurking behind you, where the enemy can suddenly come from. And Fnatic, running as a group, 5-man together, bunch of explorers,
Thrill of the
looking
hunt
for resources. They're gonna find something.
Soaz, Pillar of Ice, does not lock him down. Xerxes got a lot of time to dawdle and Deander in that invisibility, stepping forward again. Now it's going to slowly time. Pillar of Ice again from Chachi. It's not locking anyone down.
But this is where Fnatic wants to be.
Fnatic have started the fight. Stranglethorn's going to knock up 3. What can Unicorns do? GA has popped. There's 2 more to burn through. Xerxes has popped as well. Fnatic, they're winning the fight. Unicorns are running away. Xerxes caught. Xerxes killed. Reckless is unstoppable. Reckless wants to go godlike. Jez is running onto the front line. No more CC to work with just yet. Deadly Flourish doesn't root Fnatic, and at 47 minutes, in a 10,000 goal deficit, Fnatic win the fights.
Forget the last 25 minutes. Fnatic now are dead even, maybe even stronger with the comp.
Not done yet, no GA on Chachi. He flashes away. All of a sudden, now Hilly's caught in the back end. Soaz and Caps, they drop him down. Elder is up, Baron is up, Fnatic kill Exile. they can take what they want.
They've been farming and farming and farming. Full items, team fighting calm, late game. Unicorns of Love had such a good mid game, but who the hell cares when we're now 48 minutes into the game? And Fnatic, they're winning.
They're going to take down the inhibitor. Soaz is teleporting in for this one. 40 seconds for Exile. 30 for Hylissang. Deficio, they're going for the win. Samex
It's the
chunks
Super
out.
Bowl all over again.
Oh my word! Here comes Xerxes. The gravity field stuns them out. Flash into collateral damage. Samex can't escape. Chachi's trying to do what he can, but it's 1-on-5. Fnatic, how the hell did you turn that one around? From more than 10,000 gold with no inhibitors, Fnatic beat the Unicorns.
The game is never over. The Nexus has to die first. And the Unicorns of Love, they walked into a wall again and again and again. We talked about the wave clear. We talked about the scaling. Unicorns got caught out multiple times when they were still so far ahead on items, when they were so strong. It just delayed the game. It delayed it again and again and again. And suddenly we get to this point where it's full items on
It
both
doesn't
teams.
make sense.
Take your 10k goal lead, throw it away. It doesn't matter because now everyone has everything they need.
I'm not being funny, but the Unicorns of
I
Love
agree.
have a real Nexus killing problem. Like, there's so many other aspects of the game that are getting better and better in the case of 3 weeks. Inhibitors down in the base and just...
The Baron setup, it was great.
The
They
Baron
got
was
everything.
beautiful. The follow-up, the towers, the power play. And the final hurdle, they tripped and hit their heads so hard.
They ran straight into the wall.
So hard.
Straight into the wall. And Fnatic just benefited. You know, they farmed champions, they farmed minions. They didn't need any dragons, they didn't need any barons. Who cares? They just needed one last, team fight that gave them a kill, and then they chased that into more kills.
One more team fight, right?
Well, they chased it into the next fight. Yeah,
exactly, because Unicorns kept giving them fight after fight after fight. And it's like,
Man.
do you know, these games, while they are like super entertaining, they just give you more questions than they do answers. Because Unicorns, I didn't expect their early game to look as good and as clean. And then I saw the split push and I'm like, ooh, how well will it get set up?
Pretty well.
And they made me sit down and shut up. But then the final push.
Final push.
Final push.
It
Anyways,
didn't happen, man.
Fnatic snatched game one in this best of 3 over Unicorns. For a closer look at how it went down or how the Unicorns fell on their faces, let's check out the analyst desk.
Do you think we have any answers? No, we don't. Well, we are going to look at the final fight as fast as possible again, because that is where everything inevitably turned in favor of Fnatic, and, all planned. They were obviously waiting for this to happen, but, who's in the wrong here?
I mean, we get the super zoom TT Tours effect here, but who's in it wrong here? It's honestly the Unicorns.
Okay.
The whole narrative is being set up how about the Unicorns have a 1-3-1 composition. They're great at breaking up this team fight comp from Fnatic. Fnatic have a front line in Nautilus. Guess what you shouldn't do?
Fight them.
The important thing to remember is that this late into the game, Samex's Jhin is really going to struggle to break through the Nautilus, right? So you have this big front line in Soaz just soaking up all this damage for the entire fight. And the rate at which tanks die is going to be so much faster for Fnatic, which is why the longer the fight goes, the better it is for them. The whole setup, fighting in the middle of mid lane this late into the game, is exactly what Fnatic want.
Yeah, and this obviously follows the inability of Unicorns to really push their 1-3-1 to a close. 1-3-1 becomes progressively more difficult the closer you get to the Nexus, because the travel time between the lanes is obviously much shorter, and you can kind of tag team over. Nobody could deal with Visit Chachi, but they send in one guy, he gets chunked, somebody else takes over, and then that wounded ally either goes to the fountain, or he just joins the remaining 4v4
And Reckless
part.
did a lot of work.
Yeah, and Reckless had a lot of good skill shot accuracy right there. We see why Varus is such a coveted pick as well, but we cannot stress enough what a dumb call this was. This was like Uni-Trolls of Love. This should not happen. You do not take a 5v5 fight, because even if Fnatic somehow positioned around the Elder, why would you care? They don't have any dragons. All you need to do is split push.
And also the thing is, right, if you look at the Unicorns of Love, at this point, we just had expected more from them, because if you turn it around, you can kind of see, you would go, oh, if Fnatic then throw that away, all right, they obviously are not at the same level, but Unicorns of Love just played a a perfect game up to then.
Yeah, but I think, sorry.
No, carry on.
Or not.
Nope, I'm done.
The only thing I was going to say is the thing that we've praised the Unicorns for is their ability to close out games throughout the split.
Right.
Normally, they get that big spike. They're very good at knowing exactly how to use it. And from what we've seen in the past, like when you take a Baron that cleanly, you would expect them to be able to properly utilize that composition and close out the game. But they just made mistake after mistake, allowing Fnatic that time to come back.
Yeah, another oopsie, just like in the G2 game, actually. Remember, where they were all so far ahead. It was kind of a different nature, but they kind of struggled to close it out. I do want to bring it back to the beginning of the game and give some praise where praise is due, although you guys can be the judges of that. We talked a lot about the Fnatic drafts coming in, and, you know, this was fine, but how much of improvement did you see?
No, this is definitely this is an acceptable meta draft. You play team fight versus 1-3-1. If you play even early and you can force objectives, you will do exactly what Fnatic did right here. Like if the game somehow stayed even in the early game, Fnatic could have forced Unicorns into situations like this. Of course, it didn't end up happening here, but draft was not the major kind of play factor in this game.
One thing I did like from the Unicorns is the fact that they invested a lot of bans into early junglers away from Broxah. We talked about it earlier on the desk, where this is a strength that Broxah has demonstrated throughout the split since his arrival to Fnatic, and Unicorns have respected that and allowed them to play a style that has worked to them so far.
And Xerxes also did a good job on the Rengar, honestly. Let's take a look at what happened early, which propelled the Unicorns of Love in what we thought would be a fast and snappy game, but it wasn't.
Now, this is great setup from the Unicorns because Fnatic, they believe that the Unicorns bottom lane has backed, so they end up getting caught and chunked out. The big thing for Fnatic now is that they feel they have good wave clear, they're strong enough that they can keep clearing the wave. What they don't realize is Caps takes a terrible trade up in the mid lane, and that allows Exile to make this roam bot. Fnatic don't actually go back to base, and this collapse ends up happening from the Unicorns. And we really have to criticize Fnatic because they should have just accepted, look, we can't hold on to this tower anymore, we've been chunked out too much.
This is actually the real problem. You just lost something heavy bot side, you respawn, go in like an aggressive blind invade top side for no reason, you fall as Graves, and somehow like Caps falls here as well. And I think this is where Fnatic as a team is not working together. When you see great teams work and operate, it feels like it's one guy controlling the 5 pieces and moving them around on the map. Right there, what Vedius said very well was that there was a trade in the mid lane that Caps lost. But if we actually looked at that trade, Caps did not have to take that. That was his hubris in his like confidence in kind of sidestepping Ryze Qs. Well, he ended up eating 2 to the face, had to flash out. So he was on 10%, had to base. This Ryze obviously on half HP can still realm warp into the bottom lane, and he punished his bot lane for that. So like that is exactly what you need to avoid. If you draft a teamfight comp with a Victor in the mid lane, you need to know how to gracefully play that lane, not go for the 5%
It's all about cutting
outplays.
your losses in any case. We see Fnatic there, of course, they are contemplating going into the next game as we are going to take a break as the players ready up for picks and bans for Game 2. Don't touch that browser.
Why are you so far up?
Hylissang has no flash, remember, and first blood picked up by Reckless. Broxah can't help. Jesus is down. Unicorns decide to dive. Reckless gets dunked by Samux.
Take it slow. I'm here. Nice.
Broxah survives for a few seconds, decides to go back in, trying to help out Caps. The Chaos Storm and the Siphon Power, that gets a kill.
Hey, what's this? Can you sweat? I don't have sweat. I don't have it. Okay. Holy shit, man. Oh my god, I really have it. Oh.
So close. Fnatic gets a flash. Reckless. Piercing arrow gets a kill.
Confident, boys?
Fnatic, they're winning the fight. Unicorns are running away. Xerxes caught. Xerxes killed. Reckless is unstoppable.
We go.
Look, Trundle, peel.
Everyone's dead. And then don't get the KD, just hit. Oh!